Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my October monthly roundup where I share all of my faves, fails and updates on all of the products that I tried in the month of October. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I feel like I have a really small number of products to share with you today for a few different reasons. One, I took a couple of weeks off in October because we had a half-term break here and we did trips and lots of family stuff. So I feel like I didn't buy as much this month, but also I had a lot of customer service issues this month. It's been hell, okay? First of all, I 100% would have expected my Natasha Denona palette to have arrived, the Midi Xenon palette, which I did purchase. It's not really my typical type of color story, but it is an important launch that I wanted to review and share my thoughts with you guys and see if it could be wearable for someone as boring and basic as myself and a neutral, lover. I wanted to see if I could make it wearable and share some wearable looks with you guys. I ordered it like almost 2 weeks ago and it hasn't arrived. I ordered it from Natasha Denona's website like ahead of launch. I think it was prior to it actually officially launching. It still hasn't even shipped yet. She's done a Pat McGrath on me, some would say. I've contacted customer services multiple times and they keep saying I can't cancel my order so that I could order it from Selfridges, which it now is available there and get next day delivery. They say I can't cancel my order because it's been shipped, but on the website it says it hasn't shipped, so that's fun. So I was expecting to have that. I also ordered my fragrance of the month, which hasn't arrived yet because it's coming from France. So that was Mancera's Amour Cafe. So I thought I'd expected to be sharing a fragrance with you as usual in this monthly roundup, but it hasn't arrived yet. But that one's fair enough because I only ordered it I think a week ago and it's coming from France. So I know that's shipped. It'll probably arrive 5 minutes after I finish filming this video, but you guys know I need longer on fragrances anyway. But just a heads up that I haven't broken my one fragrance a month rule when there are two in next month, okay? I ordered one last month, okay? I just want that on the record. So let's kick off with this very boring, I understand, new Dyson attachment that I ordered. So it's just literally attachment. I have had the Dyson Airwrap for a long time. I absolutely love it, but this is just a new attachment for that, a new accessory for my existing Airwrap. So this is one of the standard barrels that goes with the Airwrap, but it's been updated to go in both directions. I don't know if it's just me that's completely beside myself about this development, but if you own an Airwrap, you'll know the classic, the original Airwrap, you have to change the barrels. So, you do this half of your head, assuming you want the backwards style that I like to go for, a backwards away from the face curl. So that's what I use. You do it this way and then you have to change the barrel to do your other side. Is any of this making sense? I feel like this sounds ridiculous. It's so confusing. But essentially, prior to this new barrel arriving, you had to change the barrels to do this side when you went onto this side. Are you following me? I don't know what's happening. I've had a week off and I can't speak anymore the English language. This one, you only need this one barrel and you twist this little knobby at the top and it changes the direction of it. It's changed my life. I won't lie to you. I am lazy as anything. I'm the laziest girl you could ever wish to meet when it comes to things like this. And it's just the faff of you dry it off first with one attachment, then you have to stop, change, put one attachment on, do this side, then stop, change, put that down. It's annoying to me, okay? The fact that I just literally whack this on and I can do this whole side or the underside first without having to change the nozzle and then do the top layers without having to change the nozzle, and all I have to do is this as I go side to side. It's amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so glad they made it an attachment for existing Airwraps because I think this came out as part of their newer launch. So I'm so glad that they gave us this one that will work with our existing Airwraps. I love it. It's actually encouraging me to use my Airwrap more often. I also ordered the larger brush, the like volumizing brush, they've released a newer, larger version, which I think will be really helpful now my curtain bangs are back. So that hasn't arrived yet, but I'll keep you posted. I'm just loving these new attachments. Thank you, Dyson, keep them coming. The easier you can make it for me to do my hair, the more likely I am to do something other than a ponytail. So we all thank you. Next up, Dr. Sam Bunting sent me this Flawless Moisturiser Intense. And this is designed to be like a barrier repair cream or a barrier support cream, depending on how you want to use it. If you've damaged your barrier or you're just trying not to damage your barrier, this is a very intense barrier supporting cream. So I've been using this for a good few weeks and I love it. The whole purpose or intention of the cream was to be like barrier repairing and really intense and really supporting if you've damaged your skin barrier, but without it feeling very horrible and heavy and like caking on the skin, which if you have damaged your barrier before, like I did last year by just using like 100 actives in one go, and I got very sore and sensitive and my rosacea went like into another plane that we didn't know existed, and it was a nightmare. And I was using a lot of barrier repair creams, and typically they are very thick, very heavy. I was just leaving it on all day long around the house, makeup free. But the ones that I've used previously, you couldn't really use them under makeup. They would not play nicely under makeup because they're there as like a very thick protective layer that isn't necessarily like sinking fully into the skin. So this is perfect for that purpose. My skin gets angry, my rosacea plays and flares up in the winter. It hates central heating essentially, or what it really hates is changing from being freezing cold to hot when you get in a car or you get in the house and your heating is on. My skin gets furious about the change, doesn't like it. This is so good. It's so nice. It's so hydrating. It's so comforting. And it just feels lovely on the skin, but it feels like a regular moisturiser. It goes into the skin, you can wear it under makeup. So if your barrier suffers, this is lovely. And if you're looking for something that isn't just going to have to stay on a makeup-free face for the day, but is really great at looking after your skin barrier, it's really, really nice. It does exactly what they were going for, I'd say. Next up, Fenty Beauty sent me across a few of their little holiday gifts, which was a delightful little surprise. I wasn't expecting it. A couple of pieces have gone in my giveaway that I'm going to be doing very soon, but this body cream, what is it called? Something to do with cinnamon. Oh, it's called Butter Drop, but it is a warm cinnamon shimmering whipped body cream. I was not ready when I smelled this. It smells like heaven. So cinnamony. If you like cinnamon, let me tell you, you're going to like this cream. It smells like a glorious cinnamon candle and it has this beautiful glow. I feel like they've done a disservice by calling it shimmering, because that in my mind conjures up visions of like sparkly glitteriness, chunky sparkles in my mind. This is like glow, and I see the odd fleck of glitter, but it's mostly just looks like beautiful, hydrated, moisturized, glowing skin, and it smells like heaven, like you've just cooked a fresh batch of cinnamon cookies or cake. Do you see that? Naked hand, luscious hand. It's delightful. It smells glorious. It feels glorious. It melts into the skin really nicely. And it just has a glorious, glowy finish. Beautiful on the legs. If you're wearing, you know, a gorgeous holiday dress, delightful. I'm loving it. Thank you so much, Fenty, for sending it to me. So next up, while I did order a fragrance, my fragrance of the month, which was the Mascara one that I spoke about earlier, Amore Cafe, as soon as I saw that one released and the notes, it rocketed straight to the top of my to buy list. So I ordered 2 little samples because there are a few fragrances at the moment that are tempting me. They're calling my name at a low level. They're just whispering my name. They're not screaming it, but they've made me curious, you know? They've piqued my interest. And those are Althaiir by Parfums de Marly, and Bianco Latte, which is a very viral, much hyped fragrance from the gourmand category that is everybody is just screaming its name currently. So I ordered 2 of these samples before I went for the full bottles because I just wasn't sure about either of them. Bianco Latte, I'm not a really gourmand kind of girl, but because people are so hyping it, so raving about it, it made me interested in it anyway. But I didn't want to just buy a full bottle because you have to ship it from there. I think the only place you can get it from is their website in the UK. So I didn't want to go nuts and just buy a gourmand fragrance that I know is not typically my cup of tea and then hate it. And then when it comes to Parfums de Marly's Althaiir, it's got such mixed reviews. And I love Parfums de Marly. I feel like I like the sound of the notes, but the reviews are very mixed and I just didn't know whether it was a good idea or not. So I decided to buy some samples and I'm very glad I did. For a start, I don't understand Bianco Latte. I don't understand it. It's very much being hyped up as like the ultimate gourmand, and it has this beast mode performance, and it's just the gourmand to end all gourmands. And I can appreciate gourmand, although it's not my typical go-to style of fragrance. I can appreciate a good one, and I just don't think I like it. It just smells so synthetic to me and not really that gourmand. I don't know that it doesn't smell that sweet. I just don't know what's happening. I'm very confused by it, but it's definitely not a full bottle purchase for me. I keep wearing it and thinking maybe today I'll get it, and it's just not happening. I'm also not experiencing the beast mode performance that people have been talking about. I'm kind of finding that I'm having to, you know, sniff my wrist to get a waft of it after a while. I do really like the dry down, but the vast majority of the fragrance, I'm just getting like a really synthetic-y smell, and I just don't think it's for me. So yeah, it might be one of those weird ones where it's just not working with my body chemistry, and that's why I'm not appreciating it as much as some other people. But yeah, I was like really glad that I didn't spend a lot of money on a full bottle for that one. It's just not for me. And then it comes to Parfums de Marly's Althaiir. This was definitely a roller coaster experience for me, okay? So the first time I tried this, I sprayed it on my wrist, and I think I was confused and thrown off by the fact it was nothing like what I expected. I think I'd read a lot of reviews and heard comments and seen the notes, and I was expecting it to be quite gourmand, caramel, like chocolatey leaning, just based on the notes and some of the reviews that I'd seen. And it really actually reminded me of Valleja. Like, it starts off actually really fresh and citrusy, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't expecting it. And then it just really starts to transform. It has quite a journey. It's whatever the opposite of linear is, okay? It goes all fresh, really citrusy. Then it starts to, a long time later, it starts to warm up. And then in the dry down, it's just this beautiful caramel, warm, comforting, cozy scent, but still stays really light and airy without becoming like a gourmand or without becoming really like a warm, spicy fragrance. The first time I wore it, I really only got like the citrusy, fresh notes, and I was like, well, it's not what I expected. I don't need that. I already own Valleja. It smelled very similar to me, and that was just a wrist spray. The next day I sprayed it all over and I fell in love with it, and it's absolutely going to be a full bottle purchase. It wears incredibly, it performs, I should say, very well on me. I get a whole day of wear, even like, you know, the next day through a shower, I can still smell it. It wears very, very long time on clothes, and it's not like a really serious, you know, smell it across the room sillage, but I was getting wafts of it all day throughout the day, a very long day, and I was very impressed by how it performed. And it's just a very flexible, versatile fragrance. You could wear it year round, daytime, nighttime. It would be, you know, office friendly because it's not too loud and it's not too cloying to wear in summer. I think it's just a beautiful fragrance, very smoothly blended. It's just delightful and I love it. But I will say that the first time I sprayed it, it wasn't instant love. It took me a while to get to know it and appreciate it. So I would definitely recommend giving it a few tries if you just are on the fence, because I fell in love with it. So I think that will be next month's purchase, providing nothing else pops up. I've already got my eye on the Galant extracts that are coming very soon. The vanilla, that will be coming home with me. I just don't know when it's coming. Okay, so next let's talk about these Rephr brushes. Rephr released Mini and Maxi. No, that sounds like a sanitary pad. Mini and Max versions of their most popular eyeshadow brushes. So they did kindly gift them to me. My absolute favourites of the Max brushes are the 01, 02 and 15. Oh, they are a dream. The 02 Max is the sort of flat brush. It's the perfect size for like a cut crease or like carving out your lid or just packing shadow onto your lid. Absolutely the perfect size for my lid. I love it. The 01 Max, the 01 Original is one of my all-time favourite brushes. This one's just longer. And for looks like today, where I just used literally one eyeshadow and I wanted it all over my lid and then up into the crease, it's just perfect. It does it very quickly because it's nice and large, but it's still fluffy and perfect for blending. It's going to be a great brush to take with you to multitask. And then the 15 Max, which is a really nice, firmer, crease brush that again is still going to pack a lot of product, but also it's going to be a workhorse for blending it out. Those are my three favorites from the Max line. And then the minis, the 01 Mini is a dream for like hooded eyes in the crease because it's that much smaller but still fluffy and light. If you want a crease blending brush but you have smaller eye shape or hooded eyes, this is nice and teensy to get right into your crease and into your hood. I absolutely love it. And then the 13 Mini, which is the perfect like under eye smoke out brush. I've been using this with my Lisa Eldridge liners to smoke them out or just with shadow to smoke it out, and it's just teensy enough to not go overboard but fluffy enough to give you a nice diffused finish. And I know that Rephr have started their Black Friday sale, I think today as this video is going up, so a perfect time to look at those brushes if you are waiting on a bargain. I mean, Rephr always has great sales and offers on anyway, but Black Friday sale is always ridiculous, unhinged. They go unhinged for Black Friday. Rephr, they've lost their minds. And then the beautiful special holiday cheek brush with this stunning handle. Oh, I've loved this so much. I'm actually so proud of it that I washed it before I showed you it today. In fact, I washed all my brushes, but then I used them as I was getting ready. So these ones I'm not as proud of. This one, look how beautifully that washed. It's come out completely white and fluffy again. An absolute delight. I'm so glad it cleaned up so nicely because it's so beautiful and it's such a high quality brush. This one, from the handle to the bristles, they are so soft. They're delightful, but it's also a really nice gift and a really nice if you want to just buy one cheek brush from Rephr. This is very versatile. It's not too big, it's not too dense, so it can be used for bronzer, blush, highlighter, powder, under eye setting. It can have so many different uses because it's such a versatile size and shape. It's their most special, luxurious brush, and I love the beautiful little flowers on the handle. It's just a delight. I really love them. They're all fantastic. As always, Rephr always knock it out the park. Next, let's talk about the Westman Atelier mascara, the I Want You mascara. I promised an update after my initial thoughts and review, and here it comes. Okay, get ready. It's not that dramatic, so get unready. Just listen. So I picked this up in the brown shade to see if this could possibly be worth like £45 for a mascara. Now, I love the packaging. I love how it feels. It feels weighty. It looks very special and luxurious. I love, love, love all of that. I love the colour, the brown colour. It's the perfect brown. It's not actually black and it's not super duper warm or red. It's the perfect brown mascara colour. Now, I've been using this a good few weeks. I've pretty much stuck to solely using this as much as possible so we could see how it ages. And there's really been no change. It's not dried out within a few weeks, which is great, but it also hasn't started to suddenly like get a lot better or a lot more dramatic or improve over time like some mascaras do. It's just pretty much stayed exactly the same, which is good, but it's not giving me enough. It's not dramatic enough. I have it on today. I've put about 15 layers on and I still feel like I barely look as though I'm wearing mascara. It's just not dramatic enough for me personally. I think if you like a softer, pretty, very natural lash and you want something that feels really luxurious and the price point isn't an issue for you, you may like it a lot more than me, but I need more. I want drama. I want wow. For £45 for a mascara, I'll pay that for the utter wow effect as well as all of the bells and whistles. But for me, this has the bells and whistles, but not on the lashes. On the lashes, it's just a pretty average, nice mascara. It's not wow factor. It's not super duper special. I will use this up and then it will go in the bin, which makes me feel a little sad, but I wouldn't repurchase it. It's not giving me kapow enough, you know? Next up, let's talk about this little eyeshadow quad that I bought finally. I decided to dip a cheeky toe into Rabanne Beauty. I've got a lot of questions from you guys about, have we seen Paco yet? Do we know how he's doing? I don't know. I don't think he'll ever be seen again. That's all I can tell you. That's the official update. But Rabanne is here with the beauty line and I decided to give this one a try. I'm always so cynical. I'm cynical in my old age, okay? I'm turning 40 in a few months, as I told you in my 40 video. And I've become very cynical when it comes to certain things, and new makeup brands from like fashion designer labels is one of my most cynical things. I've noticed that about myself, okay? But the first step of growth is acknowledgement, and I'm acknowledging it right here, right now. And I will say I was very much proven wrong. Everything I believed to be true about these brands was kind of turned on its head by Prada Beauty when they came out with that glorious foundation that I'm wearing today, by the way, that I absolutely love. And their eyeshadows, to be fair to them. I had to rethink my attitude and give myself a firm talking to that actually there can be some diamonds in the rough here. So I decided, based on, I'd seen a few posts on Instagram about this specific palette, which is the Paradise Lost Then Found. But has Paco been found? Is what we want to know. I'd seen swatches, it's speaking to my green loving heart, and I thought, you know, that's going to be the thing that I try from this brand. And if we love it, if we're impressed, I'll try more. Bear in mind, this hand is still very shiny and moisturising. I've just realised I should have wiped that off before I did this, but still, the shadows are super pretty. I mean, this colour story, a little quad of greens. Oh, yes, please, delightful. I mean, look, this is such a pretty wet look shadow. Would be a delightful one and done. This is the exact same colour as my top, I'm noticing. Love that for me. The green, super pretty. I don't fully understand what this shade's doing in there, but cool, we'll go with it. I've used this a couple of times and I do like it. I think it's super pretty. My favourite thing to do is pretend this doesn't exist and just use the other three shades. So I used the shade that I'm not 100% sure belongs, but we're going with it. And then the green all over the lid, and then that lovely shiny shade, this one right there, at the front brow, blah, blah, blah. You get it. That's how I like to wear this. I think it's super pretty. I've been really enjoying it. The formulas are very nice. And although this shadow is a little rich and scary, it can be used very nice and lightly in the crease, which is how I've been using it, to just give you something to work with, a bit of a transitional shade. Everything is lovely. The matte is very nice and easy to blend and build. The shimmers are very pretty and smooth, and they're not super metallic. They are a quieter, think Dior, Chanel level of shimmer, but very, very nice. And I like the overall look. The packaging, I think, hang on, let me give it some elbow grease. The packaging, I think, is nice. It's not wowing me. It looks, I think, not super luxurious and amazing. It's just, and it's quite light in the pour, but at the same time, the price point on this is quite surprisingly low. So I think that's fair enough. You're kind of getting what you pay for. They're not putting a huge amount of weight and budget into the packaging that you then have to pay an extra £10 for. And most people will like that. It hasn't pushed me to buy more from the brand yet, but it has kind of gone onto my radar that, okay, it's certainly not a cash grab where everything is actually just really cheap and useless. It actually is a nice little palette, nice little formula, and I'm willing to give them further chances, I'll say that. So a pretty good first experience of Rabanne Beauty, but yeah, it didn't exactly have me running out to buy more from the brand, but it also hasn't put me off. I think it's a really nice start, and I'm interested to see more from them. Next up, let's talk about the Tom Ford Soleil Neige Glow Highlighter. I really, really like this highlighter. I think it's beautiful. It's a little light. I wish there had been a slightly deeper, I mean several deeper shades. For me personally, I need something slightly deeper than this, but this I think is the deepest shade of the two they released, which I suppose their previous release was very warm and much richer than a lot of fairer skin tones could use. So maybe that's why both of these shades were quite light. It doesn't have a huge amount of base, which I really like. You know, once you've blended it out, it kind of takes on your skin tone a bit more. Let's see a little blended out swatch there. Very smooth, glowy skin, quite a lot of luminosity there. So it's not like super duper subtle, but it is smooth and glowy and not super metallic, and there's no sort of visible chunky glitter. It's exactly what I like in a highlighter. I will say the packaging, I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like the packaging just, it doesn't feel cheap because it's got some weight to it and it has a nice sort of magnetic closure and everything and the nice quality. But I think it's just, I don't know if it's the very, very like wool white, paper white packaging with the silver. Something about it just really doesn't look very luxurious and expensive to me. It slightly bothered me when I opened it. I was like, oh, I don't know what it was, but something about it is putting me off when you compare it to like the usual Tom Ford packaging, which is like glorious and stunning and very, very chic. This just felt a little out of left field. Was that just me? I don't know. I didn't love that, but the highlighter itself is very pretty, very beautiful. I think I will love it even more in the months to come. And it's just right up my street. It is glowy and it looks like, you know, you've got some glow to the skin, but it's not super subtle and it's also not super metallic. It's just that perfect middle ground that I really like. Next, let's talk about Dior Holiday. Now, this is one of the customer service experiences that I was referring to earlier. We had an issue, okay, like many people did. Dior, when they first released this collection, they had the eyeshadow palettes the wrong way round on their website. So they had this picture, but it was listed as Night Walk. So this is Promenade Doré, the warmer tone brown quint. I just love that word. And this was listed with the name Night Walk, and then the silver cool toned palette was listed with the name Promenade Doré. So knowing I wanted this one, I saw the pictures. I didn't know what it was called. I just knew that it looked like this. I ordered it and Night Walk turned up, the cooler toned one. I was very confused. I went on their website, I called them up and I said, guys, what are we doing? What is happening? And their customer service person said, oh no, you're right. Yes, they are the wrong way round. And they said, we'll refund you. Don't worry about it. We'll be in touch. We'll get back to you. So I, in the meantime, ordered the one that had the Night Walk picture but was called Promenade Doré, and the one I wanted turned up. It was a mess, and I know a lot of you guys did the same thing. You got the wrong one. It was a whole mess, and it took me weeks and weeks of calling them and emailing them to get my money back. And then in the end, they made me return the Night Walk palette that I originally purchased, despite them telling me I didn't need to return it and then me using it in a video. They then asked for it back. I have now been refunded, but I don't have Night Walk because they made me return it. So it was all fine. All's well that ends well. So anyway, as per my review, this shade, Promenade Doré, it's very boring. You already have lots of these. No one really knows what this silver is doing in the middle. It's a little muddled. I wished we'd had maybe a richer brown instead of that shade. Would have been great because they are all quite close in intensity, But nonetheless, if you want something that's perfectly wearable for every day, that's understated, warm tone little quint, I haven't even swatched the silver. That's how strongly I feel that it shouldn't be in there. I'm so sorry. There it is. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a lovely little quint. It works beautifully, lovely formulas in there. It's got a real nice balance of intensity because there's no mattes. They're all varying levels of shimmer finish. So we've got like, I guess, a more satin leaning. Then we've got a couple of metallics, and then we've got this real metallic silver in there. It's just a really pretty, lovely wearable palette. I think it's gorgeous. Do I think you need it or you don't already have this? No, I don't. I think you've probably got a lot of this type of colour story in your collection already. I know I have, but it's very pretty. As I said in my review, I think Night Walk is the more exciting / special colour story, and I think that balance of that middle pop shade in there kind of works a bit better than the silver does in Promenade Dorée. I think it performed really beautifully, and I came out with a really lovely look in my review if you want to check that out. But it's not, the reason I returned it rather than just keep it is it's just not a colour story I do a lot of or wear a lot. Very smoky, you know, silvers. It's not something I wear a lot, so I was happy to return it, even though the whole thing was just a pickle and a mess. But I do think if you're choosing between those two quints, that is probably the one that is more special or more different to what you already have for most of us. Both nice little quints. I do kind of wish they'd done something slightly more exciting / different for holiday when it comes to eyeshadows, quints, but it is what it is. Very Dior of them, I would say. And now the blush. I love this blush. It looks quite intimidating. See how rich and alarming that looks? But actually very, very soft and subtle and very buildable. I think it will work on a lot of skin tones. You know, you can see how soft and subtle it can be, but it also builds really beautifully to achieve something closer to how it looks in the pan. You can certainly build it up pretty much as much or as little as you like. And even with that really heavy swatch, it blends out gloriously and gives such a pretty sheen to the cheeks. It's so smooth and glowing. The finish is exactly what I love a blush to be. This went straight in my top drawer. It's going to become one of my favorite most used blushes. A nice, quite neutral blush that will go with any makeup look that you can wear year round. I just really love it. I love the finish. I think it's delightful. Became an instant hit for me. That was, I think, my pick of the collection. I also did pick up the Giardini Addict lipstick. You guys know I'm obsessed with this formula. I absolutely love the formula of this lipstick. This shade in particular is not really a favorite because it's very sheer. It doesn't have a lot of color to it. It's mostly just like sheer shine. You can barely see it there on my hand. But what I have been loving is layering this over the top of another lipstick, whether it's a matte lipstick or a more satin lipstick, giving it a little bit of this over the top, and it just has this really pretty shine and glossiness to the finish, which I really like. But the case is just heaven. This is my favorite case they've ever done. I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. I don't really pick up a lot of these because I just don't really feel like I need them, but I felt like I needed this one because it's just a treat to have in my handbag, and I think it's gorgeous. So yeah, the lipstick itself, Giardini, I don't think is massively worth grabbing or, you know, going out of your way to get, because it is a pretty sheer bit of gloss essentially. Next up, I was sent by a PR company some of RMS's new lipsticks. These are the Legendary Serum lipsticks. So I have 3 shades: Ruby Moon, Audrey, and Miranda, and I did post, or I will post, some swatches of all 3 shades on my Instagram. I really was surprised by these. These were completely different to what I expected. I think from the word serum, maybe. I expected these to be kind of like the Hourglass Phantom Glossy Balms. That's what I thought in my head. They'd be a sort of very shiny, glossy, kind of medium opacity lip products. That's what I was expecting. The only similarity to those kind of lipsticks is that they do have the click up, like the twist click up component that won't go back down. So once you've clicked up, it's too late. There's no going back. You've been warned. But the pigmentation of these is way, way higher. This is Ruby Moon, a beautiful red. It's much more opaque and full on color pigmentation than I was expecting whatsoever. And it is pretty shiny, but it's more of a satin than like a glossy finish or a juicy, you know, jelly finish. It's pretty much a satin, and once it dries down, it's very much a satin and not glossy feeling. It feels very moussey almost on the lips, and it feels very cooling and hydrating and fresh and lovely. And because it is more of a satin, and the way it sort of dries down, it almost sets, it's not transfer proof, but they are really long wearing, and they're certainly not messy and sticky or anything. Very smooth and flattering on lip line and texture. I feel like RMS are really smashing it when it comes to making products with mature skin in mind. I think they do that fantastically. They use a lot of more mature women in their advertising and their campaigns and their social media presence, which I love, but a lot of their products, they always are kind of ensuring that they will work and look beautiful on more mature skin, on wrinkles and texture and lines, and this is no exception. I was really impressed and pleasantly surprised because they just, for some reason, I expected something totally different and something we have a lot of already, whereas these are quite different to anything else I have in my collection, and they're very flattering. They have a lot of punch. I was only sent 3 shades, which were all sort of pinky and red shades, but I will be ordering some of the nudes because I think these are a great formula that I really pleasantly surprised me. I didn't think that they wouldn't be good. I just thought they would be something completely different entirely. I really like the packaging as well, and they make a lovely crisp application. I like everything about them, and they're so comfortable to wear. So again, RMS this year have just taken off. They're skyrocketing. I feel like we started the year with like, I'm really sure who RMS are, and then by the end of this year, like, they are fully have my attention. Okay, they're like, fair play to you guys, you've had a great year. And finally, let's talk about the much awaited, hyped product, probably of this entire year, these Chanel highlighters, the Symbols de Chanel highlighters. This is the variety that I chose. It's the coral shade, Precious Coral with the Precious Coral with the camellia embossing or print, whatever you want to call it, shape, symbol. Let's say that. She is a delight. She's a treat. She's glorious. I know people are going to want to know, do I prefer the Tom Ford or the Chanel? And it's no contest, it's the Chanel. It's a lot more subtle and just light and glow. It's got all of the good things about the Tom Ford. The colour is much better for me, and I just like how it's that much more subtle. Can you see how that is still on my hand, that RMS lipstick? They know how to last, I'll say that. So here is, you know, a heavy swatch of that Chanel highlighter, and you can just see, although it's a heavy finger swatch, it's still almost like melting into my skin tone. So blended out, it's just utterly seamless and perfect for me. It's just melts into my skin tone. It's so pretty. There is the blended swatch. There she is, just glorious glow and shine. It's so pretty. It's the exact type of highlighter that I like. So smooth, glitterless. You know, you can't see any specks or texture or glittery shimmeriness. Okay, it's very sophisticated, grown-up, smooth, glorious highlighter. I like to wallop this. That's the technical term and technique I prefer. I wallop it all over my entire face, more or less. I just love it, and I think that the print is glorious. It's very pretty. I'm already slightly ruining it. That's what will happen if you intend to use it. I'm pretty glad I've got a lifetime supply, because I'm I'm 99% sure this is my new Holy Grail highlighter. I just think it's glorious. I also think because of the shade, I'll be able to use this winter and summer and I'll love it all year round, which I love that for me. It's delightful. I love everything about it. It's the perfect level of glow and luminosity without cast, without too much colour, without emphasizing texture. It's just everything. And I've noticed I can really build it up and get as much highlight as I would ever really want, or I can use it very softly and it be like barely, you know, has she just drunk all her water today? Or is she wearing highlight? Who can tell? It's perfect. I'm so glad I was right, because I love to be right. They were in fact coming here, and they were in fact coming to the US. Never be fooled by these rumours that things aren't coming here. I've heard it so many times, and I think huge releases like this, they're always going to come to major markets, particularly the US. Things might not come to the UK, but I feel like things are pretty much always going to come to the US if they're like a large release from a popular brand. I think it would be very strange if it didn't, because that's, you know, one of the biggest beauty markets in the world. So I thought that was going to be strange if it didn't come. I'm so glad it did, because I think it's such a beautiful release. I think so many people will get so much enjoyment out of it, and I'm really hoping that none of you paid a lot of money from eBay to get one of these for like twice the price from Australia, because believe me, I thought about it, okay, but I refrained. I stayed strong, and I'm so glad I did, because I think it's delightful, but I would have been very cross if I'd paid double for it right about now. A lesson for us all. Okay, so there we have it. We've made it. We've made it through my first video filming after a fairly long break. So I'm so sorry if I rambled, if I didn't know what I was talking about, if I seemed like I was drunk, because I get really out of the flow when I have some time off and I don't know what's going on, okay? So I can only apologise if this video has been even more frantic and bizarre than it usually is. But that is everything and all of my thoughts that I tried new to me in the month of October. Please let me know what you guys tried and what your experiences were. If you've tried any of these products, did you like them as much as me? Did you dislike anything? Did you have a very bad, terrible nightmare of an experience? I hope not. But I'd also like to know about it, because that sounds juicy. So share in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.